matitikman. Mayroon lang akong hinihiling.
You've been listening to the song Mastan Mo you've been listening to the song Mastan Mo Kapaligiran by Asin. It means observe the environment. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're broadcasting from Warsaw, Poland, the only global radio TV news hour to be here, devoting our entire week to the Climate Change Summit. Our guest is Yeb Saño, the chief Filipino climate change negotiator here at this summit. That song that we just played, what's the significance of it? Yeah.
This is a very moving song. It's something that has been played and for ages, even before I was born. It tells us about the story of the environment, and it compels us to look at what has happened to Mother Nature, and speaks about the folly of man and how we have destroyed our environment.
Just a moment ago, while I was reading the headlines of global news, right behind us here in the National Stadium, which was built for football or soccer just 2 years ago, a group of scores of young people were chanting, among other things, WTF, which means, to the surprise of many, where's the finance? What does that mean exactly? That's a bit of UN lingo.
Yes, ministers are actually meeting here in Warsaw, and for the first time in 19 years, we had mandated meaning officially, countries decided that ministers would sit down to discuss climate finance. So this is a mandated part of the agenda here in Warsaw. And as such, this COP has always been heralded as a COP that would tackle finance. Unfortunately, more than halfway through this conference, what we see is actually moving away from enhanced targets on finance. And when we say finance, I like to be able to explain this to people who are not familiar with this process. We've already reached a point where the climate system cannot be solved by developed countries alone, by rich countries alone. And we need developing countries to pitch in. But for that to happen, especially in the context of countries like the Philippines, we need support. That comes in the form of finance as well as technology. For instance, to pursue renewable energy and energy efficiency in our own economies. But the finance is not forthcoming. And finance is a commitment enshrined in the Climate Change Convention. That is a commitment, but that has not been forthcoming for the past 20 years.
In the United States, people might be saying, you know, that's fine for you to get renewable energy, but why do you expect us in the United States to pay for it? We have our own problems. We have our own crashing economy.
Yes, that is the argument that we have always heard, but the 192 parties that are parties to the Climate Convention have signed this convention with clear-cut commitments, and part of the commitment is in the context of climate justice, in the context of historical responsibility. And I think historical responsibility can never be erased by the status of economies today. That will continue to be at the core of what we discuss here in this conference.
What do you mean by climate justice?
Climate justice is a matter of being accountable for your actions. And climate change is a problem that has been created mostly, immensely, by countries that are now industrialized, those who we now call rich countries. And countries like ours that are struggling to develop must be given that ample space to pursue our development in a way that our food security is not compromised, and that we are able to fulfill and pursue human sustained development. And for that to happen, we need to allocate the global commons so that we are able to pursue that.
We're talking to Chief Filipino Climate Negotiator Yeb Saño, who, by the way, is in the 9th day of a hunger fast, though he doesn't use the word hunger, in solidarity with the Filipinos right now who are suffering real hunger in the Philippines as a result of Typhoon Haiyan. Can you explain something? In the Philippines, you call the typhoon Yolanda?
Yes, we have a local list of naming just to keep tabs, because the Philippines happens to have the most number of storms in the whole world. So we have to keep tabs on it, and it's an alphabetical list without the letter X. So Yolanda, which starts with the letter Y, is the 25th storm for this year.
Why not the letter X?
I still don't know the reason for that, but X doesn't happen to be in the original Filipino alphabet.
On Monday, we interviewed Jerry Arances of the Philippine Movement for Climate Justice. He praised the efforts of the Philippine government here at the UN Climate Summit, certainly praised you, Yeb Saño, but criticized the Philippine government's response to the typhoon.
More than 90% of the Filipinos are disgusted of the current government. Criticisms from the media, criticisms from personalities, from the entertainment industry, from all walks of life are there. But at the same time, all these people are actually doing the real work. Going to the far-flung areas for people and communities who have been affected to reach and for relief, to be able to reach them. And groups like my organization have been running relief operations because it's sorely lacking. That is why we are also criticizing the government. While the current government is so progressive inside the UNFCCC, inside the COP, and we are one with them, we think that what the government is doing inside my country is really, it's not at par with what is needed.
That is Jerry Arances, who is the Philippine Movement for Climate Justice representative. He spoke before thousands of people on Saturday at the Climate Justice rally here outside the National Stadium. Do you share that criticism of your own government? Of course, you represent the government.
I respect everything that has been said out there in the media and as well publicly by many people, and it's a crazy period for my country. I would think that this is not the time to point fingers. I do not necessarily share the same sentiment, and I am not in a position really to judge how the operations are going. I am not on the ground. I am not there. And my best vantage point is through the news, and I think that it would be unfair for me to pass judgment on the way my country has responded to this disaster. However, I think there is really a lot of things that need to be done. There needs to be a paradigm shift in the way we look at disasters. It has always been seen as a function of hazards. If there's a strong wind, strong storm coming in, there's always an anticipation of a disaster. But that doesn't have to be. A country like ours that's very familiar with disasters, we're always living in between two disasters. The farther we are from the last one, the nearer we are to the next one. But we can break that vicious cycle by acknowledging that disasters is an equation of risk, and risk means moving people away from harm, and developing land use plans and policies, as well as development planning that incorporates climate risk. And this is something that we're already starting to do. But as many observers have put it, a storm as strong, as tough, as intense as Haiyan, probably most governments would not have had the wherewithal to have put in place the necessary preparations. We've seen what happened to Katrina, to Sandy, and this is a very rich nation, the United States, and they had to confront similar challenges.
There is talk everywhere of holding the world to a limit of global warming of 2 degrees Celsius, about 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit. What does a 2 degrees Celsius increase look like for the Philippines?
At 2 degrees Celsius, for the Philippines, at least indicatively, means a 3 degrees Celsius warming by the end of this century. That also it means a lot of changes in precipitation patterns, and we will see more rain when we don't need it and less rain when we need it for our crops. This is based on analysis that we have done for the Philippines. We also anticipate a lot more intense tropical cyclones in terms of future projections.
The United States pushes that direction, but there are many others who push 1.5 degrees, saying even that is catastrophic. What is the view of the Philippines, in your view, Commissioner Saño?
We strongly support a call for limiting warming to as low as possible, and if it has to be at 1.5 degrees, then we are fully supportive of that, and we have been supportive of that in the past. However, Amy, I fear that 1.5 degrees is no longer a realistic target, nor is 2 degrees. Now, a lot of experts are saying that we're in for a 4 degrees warmer world, and that is unimaginable.